This video lecture will be an overview and an introduction to the organization of the executive branch of the United States government. The executive branch is organized through a system known as bureaucracy. A bureaucracy is essentially just an efficient and effective way to organize a large group of people to do work. Many businesses and organizations throughout the United States use bureaucracy as the primary method to structure their organization and its operations. Some examples include the United States military, with its different ranks and chain of command for conducting operations. Agencies within the United States government, like the Social Security Administration, which handles the identification and retirement savings of American citizens. Private businesses, such as McDonald's, with their corporate structure and independent franchise ownerships, are a bureaucracy. And lastly, the North Hills School District is structured with the bureaucratic system. Teachers are assigned to teach different subjects, and schools throughout the district are designed to teach students different things based on grade level. This system of organization helps to structure all of the employees within the school district and make the education of the North Hills community as effective as possible. A bureaucracy can be easy to understand if you think of it as a pyramid structure. When looking at the United States bureaucracy, at the top, there is only one individual, the president. Through his role as chief executive and chief administrator, he is responsible for running the executive branch and sits at the top of the bureaucratic pyramid. The second level beneath the president includes the vice president and the president's cabinet, which is his closest set of advisors, and the secretaries who are responsible for running the major parts within the executive branch. Below the vice president and the cabinet secretaries are the undersecretaries and the heads of independent agencies, such as the FBI, CIA, EPA, ATF, and other government agencies that you will learn about in a future video lecture. Lastly, at the bottom of the pyramid are federal government employees, the basic workers who perform the day-to-day tasks and operations of the United States government. In order to be classified as a bureaucracy, a system of organization must show three basic features. The first feature is what we call hierarchical authority. In essence, this is just an organized chain of command, as we saw with the pyramid. Under this system, there are a few or one individual at the top, and as you progress down the levels of the pyramid, the number of people on each level increases to where most of your workers are at the bottom. We see an inverse relationship between the number of people and the amount of power that an individual has within a bureaucracy. Under this system, the president has the final say-so on any decision that is made within the executive branch, and at the bottom, the workers are required to simply carry out the president's orders, whether they agree with them or not. The second feature of a bureaucracy is job specialization. This idea means that each bureaucrat or worker within the system has a clearly defined role and set of responsibilities. For example, I am a social studies teacher because I have been trained and educated to perform that job and have shown that I am competent to do so by passing the state of Pennsylvania teaching exams. I am not certified to teach math because we would all fail the Keystone exams if I was teaching it, because I have not been prepared to teach it through my education and training. The third and final feature of a bureaucratic system is what we call formalized rules. And this refers to the idea that there are clearly established rules and regulations that make the system work and that govern the way workers behave. This could include hours for working, it could include individual responsibilities that workers have, and it could also include the rules under the hierarchy or chain of command that determine who individual workers are to report problems and issues to within their company. These three features exist in every bureaucracy that exists, whether we're looking at a government bureaucracy or a private sector bureaucracy in a private business or corporation. The bureaucratic system provides a number of positives and negatives within this structure. The positives of the system include quick and easy decision making with few conflicts. In an emergency situation, the president is free to act quickly without consulting with anyone else in the bureaucracy. When a decision needs to be made, as long as it falls within the constitutional powers of the president, he can order that decision and have it carried out through an executive order. A second positive of the bureaucratic system is that as you move up the pyramid, each higher position results in individuals having more power and oftentimes more compensation in terms of their pay and benefits. This incentivizes workers to do their job well and to be promoted within the system so that they can reap the rewards. This helps to make the bureaucratic system more effective as workers want to receive those benefits for doing a good job. The third positive is efficiency of production. If you look at the public school system, it is relatively efficient in that in 180 days, your teachers are able to teach you all the basic skills and information that you need to move on to your next year's class. This results in results that are generally positive for the people that are impacted by the bureaucracy. And finally, each bureaucracy has an easy time replacing workers if they choose to leave the system. For example, if a teacher quits, a new teacher can be hired over the summer. And if a teacher is injured or sick and is required to be out of work for an extended period of time, substitute teachers can be brought in to replace them in the short term until they are able to return to work in their full capacity. This allows the system to operate fairly seamlessly, regardless of who the people filling the jobs actually are. While these are the positives of bureaucracy, there are also three major negatives that we see with the bureaucratic system. The first negative is a concept known as red tape. This refers to all the steps and procedures that are needed before a task can be completed or an action can be taken. This could include getting permission to take a certain action or getting approval from a superior within the system. It could involve waiting periods and other rules and laws that govern our behavior. And what makes this a negative is that red tape often causes delays and inefficiencies within the system. If a worker has to get permission to do something before they can take the action, their work is slowed down because of that approval process. So if a worker is competent and capable of doing a job without permission, they may not be able to do it as quickly under the bureaucratic system because they have to get approval first. This type of inefficiency and delays can hurt bureaucracy and cause frustration among the people that are being impacted by it. When citizens need government to respond to their needs, it may often take time because of the red tape and procedures that are involved in government actions. When we look at the United States bureaucracy, there are four basic elements that shape the way this system is worked. The first element is what is known as the administration. This term refers to the specific leaders and people making the decisions in the bureaucracy. When we refer to a president and his bureaucracy, we are referring to the president and all of the people that fall within the executive office of the president, including his staff, the vice president, and any other advisors that work with the president day to day in the White House. The next major element of a bureaucracy is the departments. This refers to the 15 cabinet departments, such as State, Defense, and Homeland Security, that are established within the United States bureaucracy, and that we will be looking at later on in a future video lecture. The third element of the United States executive branch bureaucracy are what we call agencies. These are smaller government offices, such as NASA, the Environmental Protection Agency, or the CIA, that perform an important function that is not isolated within one of the 15 cabinet departments. For example, NASA could fit into the Department of Homeland Security. It could fit into the Department of Transportation. And because it could fit into multiple areas, it is set up separate from the cabinet departments and operates independently. We will be taking a look at a variety of independent agencies that help to shape the executive branch later on in this unit. The final element of the United States government bureaucracy is what are known as commissions. These are very similar to independent agencies. However, they exist to focus specifically on issues related to business and the economy. This includes agencies such as the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, which oversees the function and operation of the stock market and all of the laws that regulate trading within the stock market. This system is a perfect example of how bureaucracy impacts the operation of government. Each of these different elements is tasked with different responsibilities and is able to act independently. However, when required to work together, they can be brought together by the administration and the people at the top of the bureaucracy in order to work across agencies and across departments. This is also a perfect example of where red tape comes into a bureaucracy. If multiple agencies are working on the same problem, we are not efficiently using our resources as a government. If one agency could tackle the problem while another focuses on a different issue, our government would operate more effectively. However, all of these elements are essential to the functioning of the United States government. Lastly, when we look at the structure of the executive branch bureaucracy, agencies and workers can be divided into two groups. The first is what we call staff agencies. These are agencies and workers who exist to serve in a support capacity and whose job is to aid the president and the other members of the administration with doing their job. This includes organizations such as the Security Council, which advises the president on all national security issues, as well as the Budget Office, which helps the president with the preparation of the yearly budget for the United States. These agencies exist purely to support and provide information so that the president and leaders of the bureaucracy can make the appropriate decisions for the issues they have to deal with. Once decisions are made, line agencies take over because these are the agencies that actually carry out the orders of the president and perform the work of the executive branch. This includes agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency, whose job is to enforce all of the environmental protection laws that govern our country. This agency is responsible for investigating and supervising the operation of factories, looking into issues of pollution, and taking actions to try and clean up the environment within the United States so that we can have clean air and clean water. Another example of a line agency is the FBI, or the Federal Bureau of Investigations. This is the nationwide criminal law investigation and enforcement agency within the United States government and serves to coordinate law enforcement efforts all throughout the country, both leading and assisting local government in investigations when necessary. Overall, the bureaucratic structure exists to provide an important organizational structure within the United States government. It gives us a chain of command that can easily be followed to know who is responsible for making what decisions. And it allows us to make sure that as many issues as possible are being dealt with on a day-to-day basis. The agencies, departments, and commissions that exist within this structure all report to the president and follow his individual instructions. This creates a system where from top to bottom, all of the actions and efforts of our government can be coordinated, tracked, and monitored to make our government as efficient as possible.